Title: The Roots of Retribution. They say that madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But what of the madness that drives one to venture where others fear to tread, where logic dissolves like mist under the sun? You see, I've danced with that madness for years, and at last I've come home to my family, to the place that once mocked me. I arrived on an overcast evening, the sky a bruised hue that felt like the world was holding its breath. My hands trembled as I clutched the worn leather satchel containing my life's work, the evidence, the proof of the horrors I uncovered in the cursed fields of the dead. The last time I had crossed this threshold, I was met with scorn, laughter echoing around me like a cruel wind. A fungal outbreak in my lab, a disaster for which I was blamed, shunned, and cast aside. "You'll disgrace our family," they had said. "You're chasing shadows." They were wrong, of course. Shadows are often the most revealing. As I stepped inside, the scent of my childhood home hit me like a wave. Stale air, faint traces of lavender from my mother's long-forgotten potpourri, and something darker, something rotten. My family hardly noticed me at first. They were huddled around the television, discussing local news, oblivious to the weight of their own words. It was only when I cleared my throat, a sound like the rustle of dead leaves, that they turned. My father's eyes widened, and my mother recoiled as if struck. The years had been cruel to them, but they still wore their disbelief like armor. "What are you doing here?" my brother Daniel spat out, his voice laced with venom. "I've come to show you," I said, my heart thundering in my chest. "I found the truth." "Truth?" my mother scoffed, her tone dripping with disdain. "You mean your obsession with those plants that haunt your mind? You've lost it, haven't you?" "No, Mom." "I found it. You have to see." I opened the satchel, revealing a collection of twisted roots and leaves, some shimmering with an unnatural sheen, others exuding a stench that curled the edges of my family's composure. These are hybrids, born of the cursed grounds where the fungal outbreak originated. They thrive on death, on despair. You wouldn't believe what I've learned. Their expressions shifted from derision to a hesitant curiosity as I placed a grotesque root on the table. It pulsed, a ghastly heartbeat echoing in the silence. "What is that?" my father asked, brow furrowed, betraying the slightest hint of intrigue. "An echo of the past," I whispered. "It feeds on memory, on the pain of those who've suffered. It can show you things." "Things?" Daniel echoed, his bravado faltering. "What do you mean?" I felt the air thicken with tension. A palpable apprehension as the roots began to shudder, like they were awakening from a long sleep. "Things that you wouldn't believe." And then, as if the house itself shivered at my words, the lights flickered ominously. A low hum filled the room, vibrating through the walls, through our bones. The shadows lengthened, creeping like fingers across the floor, reaching toward the roots. I couldn't contain myself any longer. "Watch!" I shouted, and with that I pulled out a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid. I poured it gently over the root, and the room froze in anticipation. The air twisted, thick and heavy, and the world began to shift. I felt the boundaries of reality dissolve. The walls seemed to pulse, and from the roots a vision surged forth, images from the past. Their faces twisted in horror as they beheld the memories that rose from the depths of the cursed roots. The image of my father, standing over my lab, shouting accusations, shattered my heart anew. I could feel the weight of disbelief that had crushed me, now reflected back at him in grotesque clarity. My mother, racked with guilt, her hands clawing at her own throat as she grappled with the truth. Daniel's angry visage morphed into one of terror as he saw the consequences of our family's scorn played out before him. And then the true horror unfolded. The shadows coalesced into twisted figures, specters born from despair, long-forgotten souls whose lives fed the roots. They swirled around us, whispering accusations, drawing closer with every heartbeat, every breath. I felt their anguish, their pain, and in that moment, I became a vessel for their anguish, the very embodiment of what I had endured. "See," I cried, tears streaming down my face. "This is what you mock."